Chapter 1, Starting at the Human Emperor Realm. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Shenzhou Continent, East Region, Donglin Holy Land, the pavilions with carved beams and painted buildings, neatly arranged bookshelves, and books with divine light shining in the Sutra Library, shining with charming brilliance. An old man slowly arranged the books on the bookshelf, with a little helplessness in his eyes, but compared to the initial panic, he has adapted to it now. His name is Chu Xun. In his previous life, he was also a fan of the novel. Unexpectedly, after his accidental death, he actually traveled through time and came to Donglin Holy Land, one of the 6 holy places in the East region, and he was also an elder, the elder of the Sutra Library. He has been in charge of this place for 60 years, although there is a little surprise, more is relief, compared to the experience of the previous life. Live another life, I am already very satisfied. Moreover, Chu Xun was quite accepting of his identity in this life. He was an elder of the Sutra Library. His identity was ordinary, but he was stable. He was not like those people who traveled through time and space and were always the proud sons of heaven, the losers who made a comeback, or the destined villains. He was well versed in poetry and books and naturally understood that these people seemed to be bright and infinite, but in fact, they were in danger at every step. If they took a wrong step, they would fall into an irreversible situation. Compared with them, the elder of the Sutra Library was very good, ordinary, free, peaceful, carefree. As long as the Donglin Holy Land did not go bankrupt, it was quite comfortable to live a carefree life. As for letting the Donglin Holy Land go bankrupt, he thought it was impossible. Shenzhou Continent. The martial arts flourished, and martial arts were respected. Body refining realm, concentrated spirit realm, golden elixir realm, dharma realm, king realm, venerable realm, human emperor realm, sage realm, quasi-emperor realm, and emperor realm. Each realm is a natural chasm for ordinary people. It takes a long time to cross it. Donglin Holy Land dares to call itself a holy land, so it naturally has a saint-level strongmen sitting in it. In this era, if the emperor realm does not come out and the quasi-emperor does not appear, the saint is already the limit. Moreover, Donglin Holy Land has been floating in the East region for 3,000 years, watching the rise and fall of major holy lands, or disappearing in the long river of time. Only Donglin Holy Land transcends the outside world. Such a holy land, wanting to go bankrupt is a fantasy. Shaking his head, pulling out a book casually. This scripture that countless people in the outside world want to break their heads to snatch a copy is everywhere in the Sutra Pavilion. Ancient books with faint glow are all supreme scriptures. Innate scripture. Lying on the rocking chair, flipping through the scriptures that once caused a bloody storm, but just flipping through 2 volumes, I heard a crisp sound beside my ear. Ding! Read 10 volumes. A realm-breaking pill as a reward. 1 chance to deduce life. 1 investment opportunity. Buzz. A white jade-like pill with a fragrant aroma fell into his palm. Chu Xun's eyes were still warm and peaceful. He naturally brought a system with him after traveling through time. However, compared with others who invested in the Sun of Destiny, family luck, etc., his system was a little different. Investing in villains, destiny villains, different investments have different returns. As it is now, looking down from the top of the pavilion, you can see the disciples passing by. Name, Li Niu. Age, 31. Cultivation, Dharma realm. Luck, white, ordinary. Life evaluation, a life of mediocrity. 2 months later, he was accidentally injured. Knowing that he could not break through the realm again, he left the sect and returned to his hometown to educate the younger generation. Name, Zhao Zhong. Age, 35. Cultivation, Dharma realm. Luck, gray, minor villain. Life evaluation, provoked the protagonist of Destiny. 3 months later, was beheaded in public in the sect, and was sacrificed by the protagonist to establish his power, and ended up miserably. What a pity. After watching for a while, none of them was worth investing in. He shook his head gently. He looked down at the pill in his hand again, the realm-breaking pill. Now he has figured out the rules of the system. He only needs to read books. For example, he read 10 volumes this time, and 100 volumes next time, and he is familiar with these scriptures and knows them clearly. He is not just fooling around. Okay. Read the scriptures in the sect, invest in villains, and even if you have to go down the mountain one day, you will have a good cultivation base. With this thought, his mind suddenly opened up, he looked down at the pill in his hand, he no longer hesitated, he opened his mouth and swallowed it. Instantly, mysterious state of mind permeated and surged, it was suddenly clear, the mind seemed to be wandering in the universe, the world suddenly became clear, his spiritual consciousness flew through the clouds, looking down, passing through layers of buildings. And he saw that the Sutra Pavilion with carved railings and painted buildings was filled with runes, each of which gathered a mysterious aura, connected together to form a terrible formation, and his body was entrenched in the Sutra Pavilion. The Sutra Pavilion is really magical. Chu Xun exclaimed, looking into the distance again, you can see, a continuous formation, with the Sutra Pavilion as the center, it is undulating, like a spider web. Covering the entire sect, forming a terrible momentum, it feels like even a saint in person will be defeated in this formation. In this incident, he was confused about why the Donglin Holy Land has stood tall for thousands of years. With such a large formation to protect the sect, who can break it with leisure time? His mind returned to his body in just a moment of wandering, and his realm, it was constantly rising, body refining realm, concentrating realm, golden elixir realm. Just a moment, he broke through several realms in a row. Regarding this appalling speed, Chu Xun remained calm and calm. According to his memory, the original owner was at the peak of the venerable realm and was only one step away from the human emperor realm. I think back then, the original owner was also a man of unparalleled splendor. He dressed in green clothes and walked around the world with a sword, and charmed countless girls. Unfortunately, he was born at the wrong time and met the most evil Zhenwu great sage in this world. The proud son of heaven who hopes to become the emperor, the two won a battle, the original owner lost, Tao heart is broken, since then it has been dusty, he became a sutra keeper in the Sutra Pavilion, this day, that is 60 years. What a pity. Chu Xun sighed softly. If the original owner hadn't been too obsessed back then, with his talent, how could he have reached the realm of a mere venerable now, and how could he have tied himself up in a prison for 60 years, but it doesn't matter anymore, now that I'm here, just took over all this. His realm is still constantly breaking through, Dharma state, the realm of princes, the state of the venerable, even when he reached the human emperor realm, he only paused for a moment before wisps of the human emperors will condense on his body, accompanied by an aura unique to the human emperor. At this moment, he successfully broke through and stood up again, stepping into the human emperor realm. At the same time, the two white-haired old Taoists were playing chess in the sea of clouds. They suddenly sensed something. They both turned their heads and looked at each other, showing expressions of astonishment, and said, breaking the realm. Who's breaking through? The breath of the human emperor, that when they sensed that familiar aura, their faces turned from astonishment to relief and joy. One of them even stroked his beard and said with a smile, this fool, when he was defeated, his Taoist heart was broken, his realm was completely lost, and he was hiding in his own body. After 60 years of meditation, I finally have enlightenment. With accumulated knowledge, I can reach the realm of the human emperor in one step. At the same time, to the east is the Holy Land, the master's training place. A young woman in a red robe suddenly opened her phoenix eyes, with picturesque eyebrows. She stared straight in the direction of the Sutra Pavilion, feeling the familiar atmosphere. Joy appeared on her delicate face, and she murmured, 60 after all, you haven't given up on your spiritual path. Chapter 2 What? I am the villain. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chu Xun was completely unaware of the noise caused by the breakthrough, he was closing his eyes at this time, he was experiencing the energy in his body, from nothing to something, one step to the human emperor, the mass is too large, he needs to experience it slowly. Fortunately, this is the Sutra Library, it has layers of scriptures and is covered by formations, he is not worried about being destroyed by himself. Shua, that a peerless grace flashed and appeared in front of the Sutra Library, startling the disciples passing by. They looked at the graceful figure outlined by the red dress, standing proudly, like a fairy from the sky. The cold eyes were stern, making the disciples lower their heads, not daring to look directly at this beautiful woman, and respectfully said, Master, that this peerless woman, it was the master of Donglin sect, Xiao Rongyu, only a few people had the courage to take another look, and saw a hint of resentment in the beautiful eyes of the beautiful master, and couldn't help but widen their eyes. As if they had seen something incredible, the head of Donglin Holy Land was obsessed with cultivation. He was ranked in the human emperor realm at a young age and suppressed the old generation of strong men in the sect. As the head of the sect, he always had a cold aura that kept people away from him, but today, he had a resentful look. He thought he had seen it wrong, but he widened his eyes. He found that he was not the only one who saw it. The other disciples were also like this. He looked like he had seen a ghost. Shua, the head of Donglin Holy Land, looked at the Sutra Pavilion with resentment. When the man in green was wandering the world with a sword, he had fascinated countless fans, and she was one of them. It was because of him that she joined the Donglin sect. The years of love surged into her heart. She was still a young girl back then, but in a blink of an eye, she became the head of Donglin Holy Land, and he finally got over his heart knot. Standing silently, Xianxia withdrew and left. Inside the Sutra Pavilion, Chu Xun still didn't know all this. Perhaps even the original owner didn't know. The little girl who was just rescued by him casually back then, who would have thought that she would have such achievements today. There is no time for cultivation. Time is like flowing water. In the blink of an eye, half a month has passed. During this period, Chu Xun finally mastered the strength of the human emperor realm, and felt that he could open the sky with a sword in his hand, but he had no desire to go down the mountain. He knew that there were many old monsters at the foot of the mountain, and his strength was not even enough to dominate the Donglin Holy Land, so how could he go down the mountain without any interest? Read the scriptures, continue to recite, read the scriptures every day, figure out the principles, and practice martial arts. Occasionally practice calligraphy, watch the scenery, combine work and rest, and cultivate one's body and mind. It's the same as before. This day, on the first floor of the Sutra Pavilion, a young man with a handsome face and beautiful features came. Wherever he went, the disciples of the Donglin sect saluted him, with admiration in the eyes of the men and infatuation in the eyes of the women. Big brother! Big brother! Big brother! That the man who came was not someone else, but the big brother of the younger generation of the Donglin Holy Land. Xianxia, Chu Xun on the rooftop sensed something, slowly opened his eyes and looked down, then froze, looking at Xianxia who was climbing the stairs. His eyes revealed a strange look. Big brother of the Holy Land, he has a very high reputation in the sect, he has a peerless talent, he is even more handsome and beautiful, a rare man in the world. Isn't this a destined villain? Chu Xun, who read a lot of online novels in his previous life, knew clearly that a protagonist must step on such geniuses to become famous in order to succeed. If Xianxia has a confidant, a goddess who can never be licked, then he is a destined villain. Hey! His surname is Jiang. Chu Xun's eyes became even weirder. In the world of fantasy novels, Jiang surname, Ji surname, two major villain surnames, born with villain physique. Now, looking at Xianxia, who was kind to others but frowned, and obviously had something wrong, Chu Xun slowly opened his eyes and looked over. Name, Xianxia. Age, 27. Cultivation, Peak of King. Luck, Purple, Fate Villain. Life Evaluation. Born as the eldest son of the ancient family Jiang, he showed his talent at a young age and joined the Donglin Holy Land. Because he was kind to others, he often guided his fellow disciples and was respected and called the eldest brother. However, after the Fate Protagonist joined the sect, his luck declined again and again, and when he fell to the bottom, he was completely killed. Life Evaluation, Miserable. Chu Xun's mouth twitched slightly. Sure enough, it was almost the same as he expected. Without mentioning anything else, this Xianxia was a big villain just for his surname and identity. If you were a rookie, the Fate Protagonist would not step on you to get to the top. You can't stand out. Senior, all the way to the top floor, meet Chu Xun. That is to say, Xianxia is the eldest brother of Donglin Holy Land, and he comes from the ancient Jiang family. His elders in the family hold important positions in Donglin Holy Land, which is why he has his current status. Otherwise, he would not be able to reach the top floor easily. Yeah. Chu Xun nodded gently. Xianxia frowned. These days are really not going well. He doesn't know what happened to the goddess he has been thinking about, but he is entangled with a broken genius from a small border town, which makes him very upset. It's really that any cat or dog can provoke his goddess, but as the eldest brother, it's not good to bully the weak, so he asked his subordinates to warn them. Who knows, this guy became more and more rampant and beat up his younger brother. As the eldest brother of Donglin Holy Land, he naturally couldn't bully the weak. He could only tolerate it and wait for the sect competition to teach this guy a lesson, so that he would know to be low-key. A few days ago, an elder of the Jiang family who held an important position in Donglin Holy Land came to him and euphemistically said that it was time to worship a teacher. Elder Chu in the Sutra Library was the first choice, so he came. What's the matter? I want to worship a teacher. Chu Xun's heart showed a strange color, and suddenly a blessing emerged. A picture appeared in his mind. If he hadn't traveled through time, then his apprentice would not be Xianxia, but the protagonist of destiny. If nothing unexpected happened, in a few days, the protagonist of destiny would also come to the Sutra Library. He happened to meet himself. After the unintentional remarks of the protagonist of destiny, he found out his own heart knot. He suddenly realized, he entered the realm of human emperor. From then on, he became the biggest backer of the protagonist of destiny. Nodding thoughtfully, what a pity, I traveled through time, and I got the investment villain system. As long as I invest in villains, there will be rewards. Although there was a strange look in his eyes, it was only for a moment. At least Xianxia didn't see it. He only saw Elder Chu sitting cross-legged with an unremarkable appearance, speaking in a gentle voice, slowly. Becoming a disciple is not a trivial matter. Think twice before you act. I see that you have been emotionally disturbed and restless recently, so I might as well give you some advice. Chapter 3 Life Simulator. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xianxia looked expectantly, thought slightly. Chu Xun showed a strange expression. I have an idea in mind. Read 10 volumes, reward him with 3 things, breaking realm pill. Deduction of 1 chance in life, an opportunity to invest in a villain. Now that the breaking realm pill has been used, there is no use in deducing the chance of life. I just thought about it for a while and came up with an idea. His eyes flickered and he said, close your eyes, and I will give you a chance of deducing life. Oh, Xianxia closed his eyes blankly. Some people don't understand what it means to deduce life. The next second, it was as if my mind had fallen into a world of spectatorship. Life Simulator starts. In the first year, you were born in the ancient Jiang family, and your father was the head of the Jiang family. You were much loved, and you showed great talent at a young age, which amazed the elders in the family. They felt that you were destined to be in the family. Prosper. When you were 6 years old, you met the person who changed your life, Xianxia. You fell in love with her at first sight, and you couldn't extricate yourself from it. You followed her all the way until you worshipped in Donglin Holy Land. 27 years old, you are facing the darkest moment of your life. The goddess in your heart mixes with a boy from a border town. Your mentality gradually collapses. You start to constantly send experience and send your little brother to that. The young man serves as a stepping stone to help him grow step by step. When you were 30 years old, you finally couldn't hold back anymore and wanted to kill this kid. Unfortunately, he was full of wings and had grown up, and even harmed your father. 31 years old, beheaded. Life evaluation, miserable. Puff. When the simulation ended, Xianxia's energy and blood surged into his heart and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with intense grief and incomparable rage, and his pupils burst into flames. I'm going to kill you. Xianxia almost spit out from between his teeth. Xianxia's eyes turned red, thinking that the respectful, stern, bold and generous father in the life simulation was killed because of him. I even thought of the goddess I longed for, but in the end I paid the wrong price, and the kid's proud look, everything, like a nightmare. Quiet. Chu Xun spit out one word, follow your words. The scarlet red and vindictiveness in Xianxia's eyes were gradually dissipating. When the young man leaned back, there was only confusion and loss in his eyes, and he murmured, Senior Chu, is everything true just now? Chu Xun smiled and said nothing. Xianxia was silent, eyes dim. Did not expect, I had been pursuing my favorite goddess for so many years, but I was easily hooked up by a boy from a border town. I never expected that his rise was caused by me step by step. He also thought about how disdainful the goddess he had been pursuing over the years had turned out to be so disdainful to him. The multiple blows had made his face pale as paper. However, he thought that his most respected father was also implicated because of him, and his eyes became more determined. Choose again, it will be a completely different ending. He will no longer be merciful, same, I will never be a humble and pitiful licking dog again. It turns out the clown is actually me. Xianxia murmured in frustration, buzz. This moment, blessed as the soul, the system sounds loud. Ding! Congratulations to the host on the successful investment. Change the life trajectory of the destiny villain. Earn rewards. An advanced life deduction card. Well, he looked down at the advanced life deduction card in his hand, put it away calmly. I cried out in my heart. Made money. On the surface, he was still calm, saying calmly, whether everything just happened is true depends on how you choose. This is something that may happen, but it is also something that may not happen. Xianxia understood. After saying thank you, pull away. When going down the stairs, the body could not help but tremble slightly. If the life simulation is correct, he is the destiny villain in the life simulation, and the boy who pesters him all day long should be the destiny protagonist. At this moment, his eyes were filled with fierce flames. So what about the destiny protagonist? He would let the latter. No, what is the horror of the villain? After Xianxia left, Chu Xun also looked at the life simulator in his hand and said with a strange expression, try your own life too. Life simulator starts. In the first year, you came to the elder of Donglin Holy Land Sutra Pavilion. You studied and read scriptures in the sect all day long, received system rewards, and your cultivation progressed by leaps and bounds. In the third year, you broke through to the Holy Realm and became famous throughout the Eastern Territory. Even important people in Zhongzhou expressed friendly feelings and wanted to make friends with you. In the seventh year, you mastered the sword intent of the Great River, and used your cultivation in the third heaven of the Holy Realm to attack the pinnacle of the Holy Realm, sweeping across the Eastern Territory, making Donglin Holy Land the sole overlord. In the 11th year, your disciple offended the great sage Xinwu, and you fought a decisive battle with him. The two sides fought for hundreds of rounds, and both sides lost in the end. In the 12th year, you, who was seriously injured and could not heal, passed away. This simulation is over. Rating, A. Chu Xun frowned slightly and stared at the Xinwu Great Sage displayed on the screen. In his memory, the original owner only painted the ground as a prison and bound himself for decades because the Xinwu Great Sage broke his Taoist heart. He has been unable to recover since then. He collapsed and became an ordinary person, spending 60 years in the Sutra Pavilion. Unexpectedly, even though he had been reincarnated and recultivated, he still failed to bypass the Xinwu Great Sage, and eventually died at his hands. Rating reward, this simulation is A, and the host can randomly select a reward. 1. Day Sword Intent. 2. Soul Talent. 3. Alchemy. These three things are all things that you will learn later in your life. Now you are randomly selected to let yourself master these skills in advance. The extraction is over. Congratulations. Get the sword intention of the river. His mind was instantly filled with a terrifying sword intent. At this moment, Chu Xun was not in a hurry to accept it, but said silently in his heart, if we were to simulate life now, would it be a different ending if we met the Xinwu Great Sage? Ha! Take a long breath. I feel like the future is too long, 12 years, there's no telling what will happen. Even now, I am different from the last deduction. After inheriting the Great River Sword intention, I can avoid many years of detours in an instant. I can feel the surging power of the Great River Sword intent. If I try to understand it, it will definitely be a supreme swordsmanship. Not urgent. Read the scriptures first. Practice your sword again. After settling down the character of mind, Chu Xun took the scripture in his hand and slowly read it again, and then he gained an improvement in his cultivation. It was too much for him to get a top-level sword intention, and he had to master it like reading. Chapter 4 Kill with a Flick of the Finger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the state of mind was connected, daily life returned to the old way: read the scriptures, practice calligraphy, occasionally practice. In my spare time, I passed on the sword meaning of the river. Unknowingly, most of the essence of the sword meaning of the river was mastered in the alternation of half a month, and there were still a few scattered ones that had not been completely mastered. The first floor of the Sutra Library. Ordinary disciples can enter, no need to guard. A disciple was confused and said, "Have you sensed that the sword meaning of the Sutra Library has become stronger and stronger these days? Yesterday, I needed to calm down and concentrate, but now I can feel it just by sitting cross-legged." Don't mention it, I do too. Could it be that some of these disciples looked up at the upper level of the Sutra Library without making a sound? Generally, there are only two reasons for such conditions. Either someone has realized the supreme sword meaning, or there are sword scriptures. Compared with the former, they prefer the latter. Besides, where is this? The Sutra Library of the Donglin Holy Land. If a supreme sword scripture is unearthed, wouldn't it be reasonable? Soon, East Region, the news that a sword secret book appeared in Donglin Holy Land spread. Late at night, Sutra Pavilion, two sneaky figures came in, one fat and one thin. The fat man nervously transmitted, "Brother, are we taking too much risk? This is Donglin Holy Land, and there is a saint in charge." That the thin man curled his lips and said indifferently, "I have inquired about it a long time ago. The saint of Donglin Holy Land has been asleep for a long time. It is unknown whether he is dead or alive. The head is Xiao Rongyu. Although he is a human emperor, he will not be in charge of the Sutra Pavilion. With the skills of you and me, without a human emperor, stealing things is easy." The fat man took a deep breath and narrowed his eyes nervously. The two brothers are also famous thieves in the world. It is not the first time to steal things from the hands of the human emperor. It's just that this is Donglin Holy Land, which makes the two brothers tremble inexplicably. Don't panic. We are not stealing the treasure of the Donglin Holy Land. We are just borrowing the sword scripture that has recently appeared for a look. The Sutra Pavilion has 9 floors. We can only go up to the 8th floor at most. We will run away after stealing something. That the top floor of the Sutra Pavilion. Chu Xun's mind fell down, looking at the figures of the fat and thin people. The corners of his mouth twitched inexplicably. He didn't expect that there are people in the fantasy world who go to the Sutra Pavilion to steal scriptures. The first floor, the second floor, the third floor. In a hurry, they came to the 8th floor. What they saw were books filled with bright light. Both the fat man and the thin man were stunned, and they said with a chuckle, "These scriptures, any one of them is cast by the human emperor." That the luster flowing on the scriptures is the breath of the human emperor. Taking out any one of them can cause waves in the East Region, but seeing so many placed on the 8th floor of the Sutra Pavilion, the two were stunned. It's rich. So many human-level skills. You can make a fortune just by stealing a little. That the two of them trembled with excitement. Keep your voice down. Don't disturb the strong men of Donglin Holy Land. Move. Ahem. Chu Xun coughed lightly, looking at the two thieves obsessed with the scriptures, and felt helpless. He was a living person, but he was doing this. Couldn't the other party see it? The fat and thin brothers were facing a great enemy. But when they saw it was Chu Xun, they breathed a sigh of relief. The fat man said, "It turned out to be a waste who couldn't practice. It's strange that Donglin Holy Land gave such an important position to him casually. Isn't this better? It's a bargain for us brothers." During the conversation, the two of them also showed fierceness. The fat man's eyes flashed with hostility and said, "Old immortal thing, blame you for seeing us brothers. Today next year will be your Memorial Day. Why bother?" Chu Xun said softly, "Stealing scriptures, and wanting to kill people, everything happened just because of that unknown sword scripture." Boom! The fat man instantly burst out with the cultivation of the venerable realm. Even if you look at the Eastern region, he is one of the strongest. The saints don't come out, the human emperor doesn't show up easily. The venerable realm is indeed the pinnacle. No wonder he dared to come to the Donglin Holy Land to steal scriptures. Pop! Chu Xun's eyes were calm, and he flicked his fingers. A green sword energy was only the size of a finger, but it was filled with the unique momentum of the human emperor realm, which made the fat and thin people look horrified and terrified. Human Emperor Realm. It's the Human Emperor Realm. How is it possible, that even in the Donglin Holy Land, there are not many Human Emperor Realm, and each of them has a mission? According to their intelligence, there is no human emperor in the Donglin Holy Land Sutra Library, but how can this strange old man be the human emperor? They are shocked. Even more terrified, when Donglin Holy Land has another such a strong man. Pop! In an instant, the sword energy penetrated the fat man's eyebrows. The thin man saw this, he was also frightened. Bang! He broke through the window. He wanted to escape without thinking. At this moment, what martial arts, what brother's revenge, all of them were secondary. What a pity! Chu Xun shook his head slightly. The cultivation of the venerable realm might be good in the outside world, but it was still far behind in the Donglin Holy Land. Not to mention anything else, even if the scriptures in the Sutra Library were lost, with the activation of the formation, covering the entire sect, these two people could not escape, even if they were in the human emperor realm. When they quietly sneaked into the Donglin sect, the ending was doomed. Puff! In the void, a ball of blood mist exploded. As the breeze blew, it did not cause any movement. The Donglin sect Sutra Library was as quiet as ever, but outside the Donglin sect, there was a shock. The reason was simple, not only did the fat and thin brothers know that they went to steal. Many forces were watching silently. Some people even witnessed that the two brothers disappeared after sneaking into the Sutra Library. For a while, they all knew, there was also a terrifying human emperor realm in the Sutra Library of the Donglin Holy Land, but they could not think of it even if they racked their brains. Where did this human emperor realm in the Donglin Holy Land come from? You know, the human emperor realm is already quite strong. In the secular world, one can establish a dynasty that is not weak and be honored as the human emperor. Even in the vast eastern region, there are only a few strong men of this level. Even in the Donglin sect, there are only 5 human emperor realm, and each of them has an important position. Where did this one come from? For a while, the eastern region was in turmoil again. The impression of the Donglin Holy Land in people's hearts has been raised again. It is worthy of being a holy land that has stood for thousands of years. The foundation is really terrifying. All this, Chu Xun didn't know, and even if he knew, he wouldn't care. Peaceful state of mind. Every day, apart from studying scriptures, there is nothing else to do. Unknowingly, the task of 100 volumes of scriptures has also been completed. Ding! Congratulations to the host for reading 100 volumes. Rewards: a clear heart of Tao, a chance to invest in the Fate Villain, and a realm-breaking pill. Chapter 5: Great River Sword Intent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The heart of the Tao is clear. Chu Xun's eyes showed a strange color. This is good stuff. People who practice pay the most attention to their state of mind. If they are too obsessed with anger and greed, their speed of practice will be slowed down. If you master the Tao and have a clear heart, you can't say that you can keep it pure at all times, but most of the hearts are empty and quiet. This stuff is great. Invest in the Destiny Villain opportunity once. Breaking the realm pill. Chu Xun had already experienced these two things and knew their functions, so he didn't feel very happy about them. Reading 100 volumes has been completed. The next task is to read 500 volumes. 500 volumes, not very long. A look of relief appeared on Chu Xun's face. 500 volumes of Taoist scriptures can be mastered in more than a month as long as he puts his mind to it. Moreover, he combines work and rest. He has been immersed in the scriptures all day in the past few days. Although he has read 100 volumes, he can still, but there is a lot of enlightenment in my heart, understanding of Tao, and the understanding of Day's sword intention. It's time to go for a walk. Chu Xun murmured, cultivation is not just hard work, that would be too boring. Balance work and rest, also go out and relax. Elder Chu. When Chu Xun walked out of the Sutra Pavilion, some of the disciples who often went to the Sutra Pavilion to get to know the old man showed strange expressions. You know, Elder Chu had not been out of the Sutra Pavilion for decades. Why did he have the leisure to come out and hang out today, take a leisurely stroll, walking among the sect? It was evening. The afterglow of the sunset shines down on the splendid palaces, making it look like a fairyland, with cranes soaring in the clouds. If there are disciples who are in a hurry, they can still see the strong men crossing the void. Of course, the most important thing is to see the energetic young disciples, with fresh vitality and bright smiles on each of them. There are also some young men and women walking together. These are completely different from those in the Sutra Pavilion, nor are they practicing hard day and night as described in online novels. Here, you can see the lazy life of the disciples after practicing. My mood also relaxed. Feel free to wander around, unconsciously. Then they came to a river. The river flows, don't know where the source comes from, I don't know where it is going. Breeze by the river, blowing. Chu Xun's robe also made his heart calm. Close your eyes. The inheritance of day sword intention came one after another, his whole body. A sharp sword intent permeated the air, blooming in the heart, like a hidden dragon. Accumulating money, there is a sword in the chest, but open the sky. But he didn't wave it out wantonly, instead, he calmly stared at the river in front of him. In his field of vision, every drop of the rushing river water was so weak, but if gathered together, it formed a river and a swimming dragon. The mighty galloping, swooped down, just like the way of the sword. Each sword light is weak, but if thousands of sword lights gather together, it can turn into a rushing sword river, surging and destroying everything in its path. Suddenly he understood the meaning of Day's sword. There is pride in the heart, no hostility. Just like this rushing river, they don't know what is blocking the road ahead, whether there are mountains and rocks, or vegetation, but they trample everything in the rush. Draw your sword, it should be so. Don't be afraid, there is no fear in the heart. Only then can he wield the invincible sword intention. The closed eyes opened, and endless sword light burst out from the pupils. Suddenly, he realized clearly that the invincible sword intent that filled his heart while standing here was surging and shrouded. Wow! Not far away, Xiao Rongyu, dressed in red robes, stood quietly not far away. Feeling the extremely sharp sword intent surging out, that is the heart of invincibility. Once he sets foot in this field, his own strength will be far away. Suppress, weaken. Even the breeze blowing by was filled with the piercing sword intent, but at this moment, her eyes were particularly bright. Looking at the figure from a distance, her heart was full of joy, an invincible state of mind. That dashing swordsman in a blue shirt back then, it's back. In the clouds, the two old men who were playing chess also looked at each other and saw that the world where Chu Xun was standing was gradually distorting, as if a second world was being peeled off, and the place he was in was a completely new realm. Impressive. 60 years of silence. Erupt in one day. It will surely shock the heavens. Chu Xun by the river no longer stood quietly. He casually picked up a willow branch, and the soft willow branch turned into an extremely sharp peerless sword under his palm. Zhang, accompanied by trilling, Chu Xun danced the sword in his hand, and there was no rush of sword intention. However, every dance seemed to bring about a world of swordsmanship. The wicker in his hand became faster and faster, and his understanding of the sword became deeper and deeper. Even if he didn't realize it, he seemed to have fallen into a wonderful epiphany. Don't lean back, the breath burst out from my heart. Read 500 volumes in the Sutra Pavilion, inherit the sword spirit of day, be enlightened by the riverside. It broke out today. A blazing sword energy shines with unparalleled luster, and the sharp sword intention makes people feel that the flesh will be torn apart just by approaching, and the whole body trembles inexplicably. To the east is the Holy Land, Sutra Pavilion, martial arts stage, a place of practice. Inside the palace, in many places, countless people looked up at the same time, shocked by the sword energy that crisscrossed and shone above the sky. Even the strong men in the human emperor realm were terrified, as if this sword could kill even themselves. Terrible. Too strong. Whose sword energy? Swish, swish, swish. It only took a moment. One after another, figures with their hands behind their backs soared into the sky, staring at the end of the sword energy. Instead of gushing out to the outside world, they fell into an unknown river in the Donglin Holy Land. Soon, figures gathered by the rivers, watching the once inconspicuous rivers, now filled with boundless sword energy, and the surging waves were like a beautiful sword flower. A drop of splashing river water was like a terrifying sword energy. The surging river was like a majestic sword dragon. But looking around, There was nothing beside the Sword River, no one was seen at all, only this terrifying Sword River was flowing. A sword training disciple was ecstatic and said excitedly, "What a rich Sword River! If I practice sword next to the Sword River, my sword cultivation will definitely improve by leaps and bounds. I have a hunch that I will break through my realm here. I want to practice here." And me, that it only took a moment. Many disciples who heard the news sat cross-legged beside the Sword River, feeling the remaining surging sword intent. An old man in white who was playing chess in the clouds smiled and stroked his beard, saying, "Since the river has condensed into a sword river, I will also help you." Buzz, a sword intent flashing with the aura of the human emperor realm fell from the clouds, it sank into the Sword River. Wow, the disciples were even more ecstatic. Human Emperor Sword Intention. It is the human emperor sword intention. Most of them are in the Dharma realm, which is too far away from the human emperor realm. In the past, even meeting a human emperor was a luxury, let alone feeling the sword intention. Now, staring at the shining sword light, they are all filled with ecstasy. If they can comprehend this sword intention, their cultivation will soar rapidly. Swish, swish, swish. In an instant, more figures came. Even some middle-aged people were startled. Comprehension of this human emperor sword chi. Only a few people, seeing this scene, shook their heads secretly and sighed, abandoning the route for the end. The most terrifying thing about this river is this sword river. That sword light is completely immersed in it. If comprehending is the supreme fortune, it is pursuing the human emperor sword chi that will add icing on the cake later. It is really abandoning the route for the end, tracing back to the source. Chapter 6: The Stunned Protagonist. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As for the culprit who caused such a big commotion, he had already slipped back to the Sutra Pavilion, taking a pot of good wine with him. He took a sip in the Sutra Pavilion and the aroma of the wine overflowed. Good. Good. Chu Xun had a bright smile on his face, in a great mood. Master the sword intention of the river, his strength should have soared by several %. I don't dare to say how strong you are at the human emperor realm, but it's easy to fight against enemies by leapfrogging one or two small realms, without any pressure. If you are really strong enough to meet the human emperor's peak level, you can't beat him or run away. Keep reading more scriptures is the way to go. When Chu Xun made such a big noise, Xianxia was not idle either. A cold and handsome gaze filled his eyes, and he said, "Yi Chen, finally returned to the sect. To the east is the Holy Land." A young man with a slightly dark face said with a bright smile on his face, "It's been a month, and I'm finally back." Thinking of the improvement within a month, the smile on his face became even stronger. "I really want to thank Master. His name is Yi Chen. Ben is a descendant of the Yi family in a border town. Once when I went up the mountain to collect medicine, I accidentally entered a cave and picked up a broken jade pendant, and there is a remnant soul of a supreme figure left in that jade pendant. It is said that when it was complete, it was still at the level of a saint. Unfortunately, there was only a remnant soul left. The state of the remnant was so incomplete. Even so, under the guidance of this teacher, Xiu, because it is also progressing by leaps and bounds, in just half a year, he had crossed several realms that others could hardly imagine, and was able to fight beyond levels, and soon won the first place in the family competition. He left proudly, go all the way. Arrive at Donglin Holy Land. Some time ago, I even witnessed the saint girl Yi Qianxia who came to the Holy Land in the east. She was so beautiful. Under the instigation of the teacher, I gradually formed a marriage with this woman. The only fly in the ointment, he just offended the senior brother of Donglin sect, Xianxia, but the master didn't care. Think this is the fastest way to become famous. Calculate the time. After disappearing for a month, those little guys who are waiting to give me experience can't wait any longer. Yi Chen had a slight smile on his lips, thinking about the continuous gains in this month, starting from the beginning of the Dharma realm. After reaching the peak of Dharma realm, it will take some time before you can enter the realm of princes. Even if it is a sect competition, at that time, great achievements can be achieved. He could even defeat Xianxia under the spotlight. Read this. The smile on the corner of his mouth became even wider. He couldn't help but joked, Master, do you think Xianxia will get so angry that he will come in person? Inside the jade pendant, there was an old man who was shrouded in black mist. His eyes were full of evil thoughts and he looked at this kid with greed. His soul was gradually weakened and almost dissipated. This guy was lucky enough to meet him. As he continued to grow, he had a hunch that after a while, he would be able to swallow up this kid's soul and replace it, backdoor rebirth, and that time, this kid should have just experienced the sect competition, achieve first place results. There are even more beauties accompanying her, cultivated by elders, than just pick up the empty shell, beautiful. He said indifferently, what kind of little person are you, and what kind of person is Xianxia? The holy son of the Holy Land, how can he look at you seriously? That this is a bit contemptuous, but it is also true. When Xianxia worshipped in Donglin Holy Land, he had not even reached the Dharma realm, and which saint in the sect was probably at the peak of the Prince realm. The gap in realm was too big, how could it be possible? Pay attention to this little person who has joined the sect. 2. Yichen nodded, but there is pride born in my heart, that Xianxia looked down upon himself, waiting for the sect competition, you need to let him know how powerful you are. Snort, suddenly saw, a sudden change in the situation and a terrifying momentum swept in. Yichen instinctively sensed the crisis, but he did not give in at all. Instead, he stared into the distance excitedly and murmured, has the experienced person arrived, that when he left the sect, he was in the Dharma state, now is the peak of the Dharma realm, the true combat power is comparable to that of a prince, cultivation activities, body refining realm, concentrating spirit realm, golden core realm, Dharma realm, prince realm, venerable realm, human emperor realm, saint realm, quasi-emperor realm, and imperial realm, every realm is in the 9th heaven. The first level is the weakest and the 9th level is the strongest. These people probably never dreamed that they would have big breakthroughs in just a few months. Once they do, they will look good and know how powerful they are. Yichen was eager to give it a try and was quite excited, the younger generation, have this kind of strength, it is considered top-notch among Donglin sect, except for the strongest group, don't take action, he is the king. Also quite conceited. Wow! A moment of effort, a young man as rich as jade and with handsome features crossed the void, stood with his hands behind his hands, looked down from a high position, and stared at the dark-faced young man below, buzz. Yichen's head was pounding as he thought about it. He never expected that the person who came in person was actually the senior brother from Donglin Holy Land. He couldn't help but complain fiercely in his heart, Master, didn't you say that such a big shot is not a good person? Do you care about a little guy like me? That the man in black robe inside the jade pendant was also stunned. Xianxia comes in person. The corners of his mouth kept twitching, thought, does this matter? Big brother. Big brother. Big brother. In just a moment, many figures gathered around. These were all disciples of Donglin sect. Seeing the senior brother looking at Yichen, their eyes became strange. Senior brother is against Yichen. This is too bad, bullying the weak, senior brother is a bit unkind, these people complained in their hearts and whispered to each other, but someone said, this is not right. It is well known that the senior brother favors Yichen. This newcomer Yichen is ignorant of the world and wants to seduce senior sister Yi. He angered the senior brother and took action personally. I don't think there is anything wrong with it. That's right. I think so too. The cultivation world. It depends on force. You are not strong enough, why do you seduce other people's objects? You deserve to be beaten to death. Yichen's forehead was sweating, waiting for his master to take action. It doesn't matter. Xianxia doesn't dare to do it. There are so many disciples here. I don't believe he dares to kill you. The black-robed old man in the jade pendant was also a little confused, but he swore. In his opinion, these young people all have to save face, especially the eldest brother of a sect, who pays more attention to face. How can he be so shameless as to attack a newcomer? Boom! In fact, before, Xianxia really didn't plan to do it, but he saw the life simulation, he thought of his father's death because of him, the family declined because of him, Yichen also followed this kid, what face, what morality, all thrown behind his mind. He raised his hand to suppress it, and a rumbling palm print condensed in the air. 5 earth-yellow fingers, with clear lines visible, were as big as millstones. They suppressed it, and the air in all directions solidified. The black-robed old man was shocked and shouted wildly, "Call Yi Qingqing! Call Yi Qingqing! Let her save you!" Chapter 7 Forced to show up. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Boom! That palm print was too terrifying, even if Xianxia didn't use all his strength, but he is still at the peak of the princely realm. Such strength, more than enough to deal with Yi Qin, actually, and indeed it is. Yi Qin, who happily returned to his sect, felt an unprecedented horror, something he had never experienced before in the outside world. This palm could definitely knock him out of his wits. It's over. Master! Hurry up and take action, that Yi Qin shouted wildly in his heart. The old man in black robe and jade parry also had veins popping out on his forehead. Now he faced a double choice, whether to save him or to stand by and watch. If he saved him, he would be exposed, but if he didn't save the boy and die, he would be doomed. There seems to be a choice, actually there isn't. Pity. Hateful. The black-robed old man in Yupari secretly regretted that if Xianxia had not followed the rules and bullied the small, he would have exposed all those who bullied him. Boom. But when he was about to take action, a cold sword light flashed like a crescent moon, filled with a cold and extraordinary artistic conception, making people instantly fall into the ocean of an icy world. This artistic conception is familiar to people. Yi Qingqing, the saint who faces the Holy Land to the east. Bo! A cool luster flashed. Sure enough, I saw Yi Qingqing, who was as cold as a fairy and dressed in fluttering white clothes. She had picturesque features, a cold face, and an aura that repelled people from thousands of miles away. She was the goddess in the hearts of all the disciples, and her status was second only to her. The leader of Zhongpo, Yi Qingqing, in an instant, the eyes of these people who eat melons are bright, interesting, original, mistress, party, tsk. I never expected that I could eat such a melon so early in the morning. Call, that Yi Qin let out a long sigh, secretly glad that Yi Qingqing arrived in time. The old man in black robe was also breathing out, and he groaned, I have already expected this. In the void, Yi Qingqing stood across the sky, standing in front of Yi Qin, facing Xianxia. His already cold pretty face was even more chilling, and he was even more grateful for his choice in his heart. Fortunately, he was on Yi Qin's side, and this time the opportunity allowed me to see through Xianxia's true intentions. He was indeed a sinister villain who could not tolerate others. If you don't come by yourself, the consequences are unimaginable. Snort. Xianxia was also looking at the cold woman in front of him. She was as outstanding as a fairy, and as cold and noble as icebergs and snow lotuses. Her eyes flickered softly but were quickly abandoned by the coldness. Compared to women, he cares more about his father. In The Sims, this woman was the culprit who defeated him. If she hadn't betrayed him and pretended to be on good terms with him, but was actually conducting a sneak attack, she would not have been defeated by that boy in front of everyone. What puzzled him the most was whether he was so incompetent in Yi Qingqing's heart. Thinking of the accident that happened to Yi Qingqing's family when he was 6 years old, it was his passing with his father who saved her life. Afterwards, he secretly supported and helped Yi Qingqing. He is the reason why he can worship in Donglin Holy Land so smoothly. However, she turned a blind eye. Instead, he hung out with this boy whom he had only known for a few days. There was a momentary sound of glass breaking in my heart, but it returned to normal in an instant. Senior brother, is it too bullying to attack a disciple who has just started? Yi Qingqing asked coldly, with a questioning tone and indifferent eyes. She felt that Xianxia's admiration for her was revealed by this inquiry. It will definitely stop there. Oh. A new disciple. Why did I hear that he was a demon who took over the body? It is no longer the Holy Land of Donglin sect in the past. Xianxia said coldly. Yi Qingqing's eyes became even colder, and he thought to himself, Humph, you really don't have any shame at all. You can tell such a fair lie. Do you think everyone is a 3-year-old child? How to prove? Xianxia looked at her coldly and said, natural and simple. Buzz. Thoughts surged, a huge sword energy condensed. There is a brilliant and upright aura permeating the air, and the sword intention released by the golden sword light can reflect the heart, giving it a sense of uprightness, and evil demons and heretics dare not look directly at this sword. Call out, that the sword light is galloping. Yi Qingqing raised his cool eyebrows. Junior sister Yi blocks her again, and senior brother will be rude. Jiang Chen said expressionlessly. Yi Qingqing sneered, she didn't believe it. Jiang Chen loves her, are you willing to do something to her? Boom! Next moment, the terrifying and brilliant sword intent surged. Yi Qingqing was instantly injured, knocking her away. Puff! In retrograde motion, Yi Qingqing's red lips vomited blood, her beautiful eyes were full of shock, and she stared at that figure. A storm was stirred in her heart. Jiang Chen was really willing to attack her. Even though the blow was not full force, it still hurt her. The disciples around were stunned, showing shock. It is well known that Jiang Chen is obsessed with Yi Qingqing, but today, Jiang Chen actually hurt Yi Qingqing, unless you see it with your own eyes, who dares to believe it? Jiang Chen, who was standing in the void, had a cold look on his face, and he became more and more certain in his heart. This Yi Chen was the destined protagonist, otherwise the palm just now would have been enough to kill him, and people with great luck have noble people to help them. Cut! His eyes flashed sharply, cut it down with the sword. This sword, go all out, no spare strength left, upright, brilliant light, cut down with one sword, reflecting the sneaky evil thoughts in people's hearts. Save me! Master, save me! Hurry up! Yi Chen was completely panicked. This sword was more terrifying and more desperate than the palm just now. It must have the strength of a venerable, which was not something he could withstand. The black-robed old man in the jade pendant also frowned. He didn't know which link had a problem. Jiang Chen seemed to have become a different person. He was willing to hurt even his beloved woman. He then sent out his spiritual sense and sensed that the strong men around him all chose to watch quietly. They were not prepared to investigate this matter and offend Jiang Chen. They sighed, it's time to take action after all. Buzz! A black mist spread from Yi Chen's body, and even his pupils were blackened, flashing fierce, and terrifying eyes that chose to devour people. In an instant, Yi Chen's body shone with a terrifying aura, but it was a pity that his body was bound by the Dharma realm and could not display the strongest unique skills. A sword slashed down, it was as if it had pierced into the black fog and ghosts. A miserable and fierce voice was screaming, it blocked this magnificent sword energy, and a disheveled figure flashed from the black fog and fled to the outside of the mountain gate in an instant. That figure was naturally Yi Chen, who was still proud just now. Wow! In an instant, the disciples nearby were all stunned. They looked at this scene in disbelief. Blocked? Yi Chen blocked? They were stunned. When Yi Chen first joined the sect, he showed his extraordinary talent. He was one of the few disciples who could join the Donglin Holy Land in the Jindan realm. At that time, it caused a frenzy. Unexpectedly, he showed his ability to resist the full force of the eldest senior brother in just a few months. No. That's not Yi Chen. Some disciples suddenly trembled, thinking of the terrible and fierce light in Yi Chen's eyes, wanting to choose someone to devour. Too terrifying, simply a devil. How could a disciple have it? Wow! In just a moment, several middle-aged people came. All of them had their hands behind their backs. Their faces were calm, but they were solemn. They were all powerful men in the sect. Each of them was at the venerable realm. They had just noticed what was happening here but had not paid attention to it. However, the demonic energy that erupted from Yi Chen alarmed them, and they immediately descended, staring at the figure that was fleeing in a panic, and frowned as they said, a demon that has taken over another's body. Chapter 8 Changes in Luck. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Boom! Although the middle-aged man's voice was soft, but it resounded like a great bell, shocked in people's hearts, thinking of the pitch-black mist, and the fact that Yi Chen, with his Dharma realm cultivation, was able to block the eldest brother's full-strength sword. Everyone was moved and said in horror, it's really the devil who took over the body. Long before, they thought that senior brother Jiang Chen was bullying the younger ones. Don't let others touch the saint, and now it seems they wrongly blamed senior brother. Looking back on the character of the eldest brother in the sect, is he the kind of villain who is greedy and jealous? No, on the contrary, he is very refined and peaceful, treats others kindly, often gives guidance to his disciples, and answers all questions. This kind of eldest brother, how could he blindly attack a small person? Can't help it, these people looked ashamed, hidden apologies, they actually believed the devil, rather than Big Brother. How hateful. I was deceived by Yi Chen. I thought he was a super genius, some disciples said angrily, but they thought that it was not easy to go all the way from the border town to now. How could they continue to be evil, let alone be able to break through in a short period of time? Although the body-snatching demon just took advantage of Yi Chen, it also revealed Yi Chen's extraordinary cultivation and combat prowess. Horrible. There is such a demon hiding in our sect. How appalling, that even these middle-aged men showed palpitations, but they did not pursue him again because they had already fled far away. In addition, since the devil was able to seize the body, he must have a lot of background and was not something they could deal with. He solemnly said, "Report this matter to the leader. We'll discuss it later." Not far away, Xianxia, who was injured by the sword energy, had his eyes blank and stood there helplessly. Everything that happened next was seen in front of his eyes. At this moment, her belief was about to collapse. The man she trusted and was even a little obsessed with the person turned out to be a demon seizing the body. Thinking back to the encounter with Yi Chen, there was something strange about everything, but he was fooled. Yi Qingqing, why are you so stupid? Yi Qingqing was worried and frightened, thinking that he had been secretly attracted to that boy, otherwise he would not have shown up as soon as he returned to the sect. What a shame, he turned out to be the devil. Reincarnation, he couldn't help but see Jiang Chen again, feeling ashamed. More of it is arrogance, so what if I am wrong? Jiang Chen should come over and admit his mistake. Stand proudly, waiting for Jiang Chen's comfort and dog-licking behavior. Of course, when Jiang Chen saw the direction in which Yi Chen was escaping, he felt regretful in his heart. However, he thought that the protagonists of destiny were all carrying great luck, and how could they be killed so easily? He felt natural in his heart, and squinted his eyes and said, "I can hurt you once, then I will. I can hurt you twice, 3 times, countless times, I don't believe I can't kill you in this life." He glanced out of the corner of his eye, seeing that, he looked down at himself coldly. She seems to be the wrong woman. It was a little funny in my heart. If it weren't for Elder Chu's guidance, I would have been stupid to lick the dog, but after experiencing life simulation, I have already seen through Yi Qingqing's heart, and there is no way I can get her. Thinking about the fact that there are so many women in the sect who favor him, why should he fall in love with a flower unrequitedly? My heart is boring, I just feel that Yi Qingqing seems to be, that's it. Gone. Go visit Elder Chu. I really want to thank him. Jiang Chen's figure disappeared in a flash. Yi Qingqing, who was waiting for comfort, suddenly opened his eyes wide, his long eyelashes trembling, and looked at the departing figure in disbelief. He actually did. He left. It is 30 miles away from the Holy Land to the east. A staggering figure fell into the mountains. The black-robed old man in Yupari said weakly, "I'm injured. That guy's sword intent is too terrifying. He has such strength at such a young age. It's really scary. I'm going to fall asleep in a short time. You should be safe." Yi Chen suddenly panicked. It's been a long journey, they all rely on the teacher. What would he do if the teacher fell asleep? Why panic? You can't go to Donglin Holy Land. The Eastern Territory is so big, and Donglin Holy Land is not the one who makes the decision. As far as I know, there are more than 1 or 2 enemies in Donglin Holy Land. You can just go to one of them. As for the rumors coming from Donglin Holy Land, you are completely. It can be said that I was jealous of your talent, and because you seduced Yi Qingqing, you were suppressed by Jiang Chen and expelled from the sect. Yi Chen's eyes lit up, full of joy. Really, Donglin Holy Land is not the only one in the Eastern Territory. Find an enemy facing the Holy Land to the east. Tell me about your own experience. Maybe you can get sympathy and get super treatment. Just do it if you think of it. He looked towards Donglin sect with resentful eyes and gritted his teeth and said, "I will make you pay the price." And Xianxia will skin you alive sooner or later, unfortunately. I didn't go to the Sutra Pavilion. I heard that there is an unparalleled figure who has been bound to the Sutra Pavilion for 60 years. He still wants to return to the sect and visit him as soon as possible to see if he can break the knot in his heart and become a supporter. Now it seems that he has not. It's necessary. I hope that guy will be stuck somewhere for the rest of his life, unable to break the knot in his heart, and depressed until death. Sutra Pavilion. Chu Xun, who saw everything in his eyes, was very indifferent regarding Xianxia's action and subsequent escape. All of them came into view calmly. He knew deeply that these destiny protagonists had great luck and were not so easy to kill. This time, he was able to force Xianxia to such a degree, which had greatly damaged his destiny luck. It was enough. Senior Chu Jr. came to thank you. Xianxia came to express his gratitude. Chu Xun was surprised. Name, Xianxia. Age, 27. Cultivation, peak of the king realm. Luck, purple and black. Destiny villain. Character's life, completely torn apart with the destiny protagonist. Temporarily won the luck for a longer time, but as the destiny protagonist joined the Xiandao sect, the two met again in the Taihuang secret realm, and were deprived of opportunities one after another, and their luck declined. At the age of 35, he failed to escape the disaster and was beheaded. Looking at the life that was simply commented on, Chu Xun showed a strange look, but he was also thoughtful. The last time I met Xianxia, his luck was purple. This time I met Xianxia, his luck was purple-black. It is obvious that he suppressed the protagonist of destiny, so his luck increased. Or maybe Xianxia was originally purple-black luck, but he was intercepted by the protagonist during this period, so his luck weakened by one level and fell to purple luck level, white, gray, black, brown, purple, purple-black. Yolian, the villain of destiny. It is divided into 7 levels. Xianxia's luck for the time being is the 6th level. Staring at the luck, Chu Xun couldn't help thinking in his heart, if the protagonist of destiny constantly gets opportunities by luck, then is it the same for the villain of destiny? As the luck increases, the benefits will continue to flow. While thinking this way, looking at Xianxia, he felt that his forehead was covered with black bad luck, which was obviously a symbol of the coming good luck, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Interesting, cultivating a supervillain. Chapter 9 Accepting a Disciple. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Senior Junior wants to become his disciple. Xianxia looked sincere, and was really moved. Elder Chu's deduction was unpredictable, and everything happened as predicted. The strength that boy showed today even surprised him. How long has he been a disciple? Jindan realm, entering the peak of Dharma realm, all this, it's only been a few months, right? If he is given a little more time, he may break through quickly. When the sect competition comes, he may not be his opponent. If everything develops towards life simulation at that time, he is grateful. It's not that Elder Chu himself will be doomed. Similarly, his heart is really hot. He has been in Donglin Holy Land for so long, he has not become his disciple for a long time. He feels that there are not many people in Donglin Holy Land who are worthy of him. In the ancient family Jiang, his father is in the human emperor realm, and his grandfather is also in the human emperor realm. What's more, there are those elders who value him. To put it arrogantly, Jiang is not inferior to Donglin Holy Land. It was just that he came here for various reasons, but no one had asked him to become a disciple. Now he was really moved. His expression was sincere, his eyes were expectant. Chu Xun, who was sitting cross-legged, was calm and composed. He raised his eyes slightly and made a decision in his heart. He said, I have made a choice. Please help me, master. Xianxia bowed his head. He was convinced. Good. Chu Xun nodded slightly. His system was originally to invest in the villain of destiny, but since he had made the investment, it seemed normal to accept him as a disciple. He nodded slightly to show his approval. Xianxia was overjoyed. Even his luck fluctuated with it. Originally it was purple-black luck. It suddenly soared. It was faintly about to condense a deep black lotus. Even if it failed to take shape in one step, it had an illusory trend. If he trampled on the protagonist of destiny a few more times, it would be quite easy to condense the deep lotus luck. Since you have become my disciple, I will not treat you unfairly. I will give you this pill as a gift. Chu Xun said calmly, and a pill flashed on his fingertips. It was the realm-breaking pill. He had already broken through the human emperor realm. This kind of pill is temporarily useless to him. It would be a waste to keep it. It's just an investment in a disciple. It's not a loss. What is this? Xianxia looked at the pill in front of him with a fragrant fragrance, and his body and mind trembled suddenly, his pupils staring at it intently. As the eldest son of the Jiang family, he had a high vision, and ordinary pills were not in his eyes at all, but this pill was different. Just a sniff of it made him feel excited. Breakthrough pill, that he recognized it almost instantly, but what shocked him was, he was at the peak of the king realm, he was only one step away from the venerable realm. This realm, ordinary pills are useless. Otherwise, there is no pill that can't be obtained by relying on the Jiang family or the Donglin Holy Land, but now, this orange pill is placed in front of him, and he is still quite tempted. Master, isn't this too expensive? Xianxia hesitated. He had a feeling that if he swallowed it, his realm would be broken directly, but it would be a pity for him to use it. Such a precious pill, I'm afraid it will be useful for the venerable realm. It should be used to its maximum value. No problem. It's just a pill I made casually. Chu Xun shook his head and made an excuse. This realm-breaking pill was not a particularly precious item. He had a feeling that if he read a certain amount of books, he would gain more. Thank you, Master. Xianxia no longer refused, he accepted the pill. Ding! Congratulations to the host for investing in the Destiny villain. Reward, the UN pill *3. Chu Xun did not rush his subordinates, but glanced at his disciples and said slowly, if there is nothing else, you can leave first. Yes, Xianxia saluted respectfully, he left silently. OM. 3 white pills as white jade fell into his palm, emitting rich plant essence. This was made from the purest herbs, which contained the essence of heaven and earth. As long as you absorb it, your cultivation will continue to grow. I wonder what realm a pill can help me reach. Murmured curiously, he also swallowed one, pop. After entering the stomach, the pill melted, it turned into a surging medicinal power, it filled every vein in the body, even the cells in the body were like extremely thirsty cattle, madly swallowing, greedily absorbing the medicinal power of the great yuan pill, and the realm on the body was slowly growing. OM. Close your eyes, practice silently. Fortunately, this is the 8th floor of the Sutra Pavilion, not many people can come here to disturb. You can concentrate on refining the medicinal power. 1 hour, 2 hours, in the blink of an eye. It was late at night, under the moonlight, in the house, an old man sitting cross-legged can be seen slowly opening his eyes, shining brightly, full of spirit, and full of spiritual energy. He looks like a Taoist master. Spiritual energy circulates around him. Qi is full, the 2nd level of the human emperor realm. Who? He exhaled a foul breath. Chu Xun picked up the scripture in his hand again, with a strange look in his eyes. He thought that the great yuan pill would bring him a lot of breakthroughs, but he didn't expect that just one pill would break through the realm of his body. If all 3 pills are absorbed, it's still necessary to break through the 3rd realm. Very good. Chu Xun nodded gently, knowing that it would take time and effort to break through to the human emperor realm, and it would not be accomplished overnight. Today's harvest was already very rich. Be content. Time passed slowly, there is no time for cultivation, the cold ends and the years are unknown. In the Sutra Library, he read the sutras every day and studied the mysteries. His understanding of the world became more profound. He occasionally used his free time to comprehend the sword intent of the river. The sword intent of this inheritance is too profound. Last time he comprehended the sword in the river, he only comprehended the basics. It is considered a beginner. To fully master it, he needs to practice and fit day after day. He looked out the window, he saw a thin layer of snow, he murmured, the first winter. Calculate the time. It has been several months since he traveled here. The Donglin Holy Land remains the same, except for the appearance of a sword river that attracted countless sword-cultivating disciples and became a holy place for sword-cultivating disciples without them noticing. There were no major changes. After Xianxia got the realm-breaking pill, he went into seclusion and had not come out for many days, but Chu Xun knew that there would be no accidents. The realm-breaking pill could even break through the realm of the human emperor, let alone help him enter the realm of the venerable. Continue reading the scriptures, reading, practice. Chu Xun, who was in the Sutra Pavilion, really seemed to have taken on the identity of an old man. His state of mind was calm, and he let the outside world rush around, and the Sutra Pavilion remained the same for a long time. Unknowingly, another 2 months passed, 3 Tianyuan pills were consumed. His realm also reached the 4th level of the human emperor realm. Chapter 10, Apprenticeship Ceremony. You are listening at novelfull.audio. These past 2 months, the eastern region is relatively peaceful. The immortal Tao's sect accepted a talented disciple, but he was personally accepted as a disciple by the senior Taishian, who was about to be enthroned. This caused quite a stir in the immortal Tao sect. On the day of accepting disciples, many forces in the eastern territory lost their lives. I just heard that this disciple came from Donglin Holy Land. This caused all the forces to show their strange colors, feel weird. As for the reason, they asked, but I couldn't figure out why. One person speaks one word, no clear answer. However, they didn't take it seriously. He was just a rising star at most. No matter how powerful he was, this generation of young people had already become established, led by Xianxia from the Holy Land in the east and Wang Fan from the immortal Tao sect. It is too difficult for ordinary people to surpass the leader. Besides, the various forces in the eastern region are also paying close attention to the Sword River that borders the Holy Land to the east. To know, in the eastern region, there are countless powerful people in the human emperor realm. Every appearance is noticed by various forces, especially the 6 holy lands in the eastern territory. They are more concerned about which family has an extra human emperor. However, a human emperor appears in the eastern Holy Land, and it appears out of nowhere, a river of sword intent. It cannot appear out of thin air. Want to find the person involved? It's like disappearing from the world, just like the fat and thin sages who sneaked into the Sutra Pavilion in Donglin Holy Land. They also mysteriously disappeared without any news. According to their intelligence, all the 5 human emperors in Donglin Holy Land that night were in their own territory. Then who killed the fat and thin venerable? Is it another unsolved case? There are only a few old people who have experienced what happened back then. I thought of someone, wearing a green shirt and wielding a sword, walk proudly in the world. It can be said to be popular for an era, burning and dazzling, but they quickly gave up. This person has been in silence for 60 years, and is locked in the Sutra Pavilion in the east of the Holy Land. If the knot in his heart is really broken, there will be no movement. In such a seemingly calm but turbulent eastern region, the Jiang family, an ancient family, suddenly there was movement. This day, the long street shook and horses' hooves rumbled, as if there was thunder resounding here. Strong men from the Jiang family emerged, awakening from slumber, alarmed the eastern region. Although the Jiang family of the ancient family does not belong to the 6 holy places in the eastern region, no one dares to underestimate the Jiang family. However, for those who are powerful in the human emperor realm, the Jiang family is not inferior to these holy places. Just compared to them, Jiang is more low-key. There are also fewer people, except for family members. Do not cultivate talented people with foreign surnames, but keeping a low profile does not mean that there is no strength. If the Jiang family is angry, any holy land will tremble. As for the ordinary top forces, they can be wiped out in one day, which is enough to see the Jiang family's background today, but it's like going crazy. One strong man revived one after another. There was a commotion in the 6 holy lands, many top forces, all were terrified. He even directly asked his descendants whether they had provoked any of the Jiang family's children during this period, for fear that the Jiang family was here to seek revenge, and it was like a wave making waves in the peaceful and treacherous eastern region. Same day, the news was flying everywhere. Just make sure, everything is weird. There is a slander in the heart. Some people even muttered directly, as for what? It's just a worship of a teacher. Is there any need to make such a big show of it? Everyone knows about it. Zhang's, more than a dozen riders and horses are clearing the way in front. These are no ordinary horses. They are all terrifying beasts with majestic horns, flashing scales, and a fierce glow. Each of them has the status of a prince, and only an ancient family like the Jiang family can do so. So much surrender. The men riding on the horses of strange beasts were all wearing armor, with cold eyes, and a chilling air permeating their bodies, which made people shudder. Dong dong dong, horse hooves rumble, trample the sky. There are those who are weak in cultivation, who are shocked by this terrifying momentum, and their blood boils, and the smell of blood surges from their throats, which is horrifying. Mr. Jiang. Terrible, that they witnessed it from a distance and were shocked. In addition to the more than a dozen batches of exotic beasts and horses that opened the way, there were 5 golden horses shimmering with divine brilliance, pulling a black jade chariot, which looked noble and mysterious. The simple banner shines in the air, and the word Jiang flowing with Taoist rhyme reveals a sense of vicissitudes of life, passed along the way, passing through cities. Many monks who were practicing or relaxing looked at each other, revealing a shocking scene. They stared at the 5 golden horses, the terrifying aura flowing on them, and murmured, "Is this the realm of the venerable? Terrible, the venerable level exotic beast pulls the chariot. It's just the Jiang family." There was envy in their words, and they wished they could be one of the Jiang family's servants. Unfortunately, the Jiang family had strict rules and did not allow outsiders to enter easily, let alone accept people of the opposite sex as disciples. It is said that this was the order of a quasi-emperor of the Jiang family back then. The rules below: at that time, the Jiang family was one of the best in China, and there were only a few that could compete with it. Unfortunately, after a long period of time, the decline of the quasi-emperor, and then the fall of the great sage, the Jiang family gradually weakened until now, only ruling the roost in the eastern region. Even so, it is an unattainable force. In the eyes of many Lao Bei monks, the ancient Jiang family is more terrifying. No one knows how much heritage the once glorious family still has. They would rather offend a Holy Land force than offend the ancient Jiang family. On the chariot, Jiang Chen was dumbfounded. He was also a little confused. He just told his father about the situation of the sect, but he didn't expect his father to make such a big fuss. Not to mention the power of the whole clan, the current appearance is counted in the entire eastern region. "What do you know?" Jiang Chen's father Jiang Zhinshan said without hesitation, "You are my son, Jiang Zhinshan, and you should have the appearance you deserve." "Do you really think that I am giving you this appearance?" Jiang Zhinshan curled his lips. His face was contemptuous, his face was full of disdain. This kind of expression only appeared when the father and son were together. Outside, Jiang Zhinshan was quite serious, unsmiling, and held his airs tightly. "When I was young, Elder Chu was a famous figure, charming countless boys and girls, and even I admired him. Unfortunately, he met the great Saint Jinwu, who suddenly appeared and was praised as having the potential of a great emperor. He was defeated in a battle and his Taoism was shattered. He then confined himself to the Sutra Pavilion for 60 years. Now I have seen through my heart. I have made further progress. I should congratulate you with a heavy gift. In addition, my son is becoming my disciple, and the gift cannot be bad. I should let Elder Chu know that it is not a loss to accept you as his disciple. In the future, if Elder Chu needs any resources for cultivation, he can ask for it. I will help you with the strength of the whole clan." Jiang Zhinshan snorted, showing his domineering attitude.